Open a window on a muggy day, and the air feels thick, heavy, like the room is holding its breath. That weight is water, hidden in the air as invisible vapor. A dehumidifier is a small machine built to pull it out, drop by drop. No magic. Just cold metal, a quiet fan, and a trick borrowed from a glass of iced tea, sweating on a summer afternoon. Let us slice one open and watch the water appear. Warm air is a sponge. The warmer it gets, the more water vapor it can hold, spread between the air molecules where your eyes can never see it. On a humid day, that sponge is nearly full. The dampness clings to your skin, fogs your windows, and feeds mold in the corners. To dry the room, the machine does not heat the air. It does the opposite. It makes a small patch of that air suddenly, deeply cold. It starts with a fan. Behind the grill, a spinning wheel of blades draws room air inward, steady and slow, like an inhale that never stops. The damp air passes first through a thin filter that catches dust and hair. Then it enters a narrow chamber stacked with rows of thin metal fins. This is where the journey turns cold. The fan does not stop pulling. Every second, a fresh slug of humid air is fed into the machine. The first bank of fins is the cold coil. Thin tubes weave through them, and inside those tubes runs a chilled liquid called refrigerant, colder than ice. As the humid air washes over the freezing metal, it loses its heat in an instant. And here is the key. Cold air cannot hold as much water as warm air could. The sponge shrinks. Suddenly the air is carrying far more vapor than it now has room for. So the water lets go. Vapor that was invisible collides with the cold fins and turns back into liquid, beading into tiny droplets on the metal. This is the dew point, the same trick that frosts a cold glass of iced tea on a hot day. The droplets grow, merge, and slide down the fins under their own weight. What was hidden in the air is now real water you could touch, trickling toward a tray waiting below. But where does that deep cold come from? Hidden in the base sits a compressor, a small pump that squeezes the refrigerant gas hard, then lets it expand into a wider space. When a gas expands, it cools sharply, the same chill you feel from a spray can as it empties. That cold refrigerant is pumped up through the cold coil, soaking up heat from the passing air. It is the same loop that runs your refrigerator, turning in a tight, endless circle. Now the air has a problem. It is cold and damp off the fins, and chilling your room was never the goal. So just past the cold coil sits a second bank of fins, the warm coil. The refrigerant, now carrying all the heat it just stole, flows through here and dumps that warmth back out. The chilled air passes over it and is gently reheated. Nothing is wasted. The heat taken at the front is simply handed back at the rear. What leaves the machine is changed. The air flowing out the back is about the same temperature it went in, but it carries far less water than before. It is drier, lighter, thirstier. As it spreads across the room, it begins to soak moisture back up from damp walls, clothes, and carpet, like a fresh sponge wiping a wet counter. The fan keeps pulling. Round and round the room air goes, a little drier with every single pass. Meanwhile, the droplets keep falling. They run off the cold coil into a sloped tray, then drain into a tank, a clear plastic bucket you can lift out and pour down the sink. On a damp day, this bucket can fill with several pints of water, all of it conjured straight from the air you were just breathing. Some models skip the bucket entirely and send the water out through a thin hose, draining steadily into a nearby floor drain. The machine also knows when to work. A small sensor called a humidistat constantly samples the air, measuring how much moisture it holds against the level you set on the dial. When the room is still too damp, it keeps the compressor running. When the air finally reaches your target, it switches the cooling off and lets the fan idle. The dehumidifier is not always laboring. It is watching and acting only when the air truly needs drying. And it knows when to quit. Inside the tank floats a small plastic buoy riding on the surface of the rising water. As the bucket fills, the float slowly climbs. When it reaches the top, it trips a tiny switch that shuts the whole machine down, so no water ever spills onto your floor. A light blinks to tell you the tank is full. Empty it, slide it back, and the float drops, and the cycle begins again. So follow the whole path. The fan pulls humid air in through a filter. The cold coil chills it past the dew point, and hidden vapor condenses into falling droplets. The compressor makes that cold by squeezing refrigerant. The warm coil reheats the air, and dry air flows back out. Water drains into the bucket, the humidistat decides when to run, and the float switch stops it when the tank is full. Cold metal, a fan, and a loop. That is the whole trick. The next time a room feels heavy and damp, picture the quiet machine in the corner, breathing the air in and handing back a bucket of water that was never visible at all. Nothing magic, just cold metal, a steady fan, and a little patience. Thanks for watching The Cutaway. Stay curious, and we will slice open something new next time.